Hi, AGP students, and welcome back to our second lesson of the AGP Leadership course, where today we'll be looking a little bit more into how to foster your academics. And with that, it's you're looking at multiple things in which we can kind of do that for today. First off, we'll kind of be looking at your academic interests to kind of better understand eventually the sort of things in which you want to study and learn more about, even possibly have and make a career of at some point, but kind of better understand how do we get to that point. And doing so is kind of how do you cultivate the academics? What do you can do to kind of help you along in better understanding some things, bring a bit more of awareness to some of the topics, subjects which you maybe like to learn more about, and then more so things how you can use these sort of things to lead you in a direction of a pathway for a career. We'll also discuss academic skills, how to further refine them, and how you can hopefully improve your study techniques and how you choose to learn things where it's much more effective and more efficient for you. To kind of couple along with that, we'll be looking at learning styles and more specifically the VARC test. Maybe some of you have already heard of it, maybe you've already taken it, but today, if anything, it's just to kind of look through that material once again, and then also kind of briefly discuss it in our classroom topic. So, and then lastly is using strengths. As before, we talked about using strengths, becoming more aware of them, and better understanding how to implement them to utilize them in multiple environments, but today academics specifically to benefit you. So what to do. A lot of times students are like, oh, I want to, maybe I want to be a doctor or something. I don't know, I had an aunt that was sick or something who had cancer or whatnot, and because of that I want to be a doctor. So or maybe you have parents or something or people and you want to be an aerospace engineer. Maybe you enjoy planes and what's involved with that, or maybe you involve more things regarding to warheads or something of the nature, but you want to be doing something that involves flight and how that flight takes place. Or maybe you're more on the other side of being an education person. You want to be a teacher. Maybe you enjoy working with individuals or something, but you want to be involved in young people's lives and helping to make a difference, and you want to be able to make an impact in those individuals in this sort of way. Maybe you enjoy the element of of the unknown or something, or things of wanting to put together puzzle pieces back together or whatnot, and maybe you want to be a crime scene investigator. Maybe it's something in which you enjoy the law enforcement element of it, and you want to do something like that. Or possibly, you want to be a physicist. Who knows? But the idea of all these sorts of careers is that these are all some of the ones that you may see on television, this or that or something, and many people kind of become enamored with in a way. And you kind of envision this, and you really only see one side of the sort of careers and what these people do, and quite often many people really don't understand the sort of day-to-day activities that are going on. So with that, I mean, there's over 1,800 majors. You kind of look along online, you can see some things, and and with that, there's a lot of different choices out there, and just because of those different choices that you have, there's almost just as many careers that take place. As you see, over half the students will change their majors and things, and the reasoning why is because, one, they really or maybe not as adept or as strong to the material as they thought they were in some sense. I hear a lot of students say, oh, you know what, I'm really good at math, I want to be an engineer. Well, little do they know that you have to go up and to learning to do calculus 3 and linear algebra and differential equations and all sorts of things, and it doesn't just stop there, it continues on. But the difficulty of math is extremely severe. Or maybe they just really didn't understand the sort of things that were involved with the career, and because of that, it's a lot of lack of research in a sense. And when they actually start getting into these sort of tasks and responsibilities and better understand, they're like, no, this is definitely not for me. So as you can see, I've kind of the biggest thing is, and the one in which we want to accomplish with avant-garde prep is to get you going in the right direction. Let's point you in the direction in which you need to go into. So if you're looking at healthcare, let's look at some things that you better understand it. And if you change your major, maybe you're changing a major within that realm of healthcare or something. Or if you're looking at marketing or business or retail sciences or something of the nature, that you kind of remain in that area in a sense that you're not essentially going from um, a liberal arts major to an engineering major to a liberal arts or something like that, which can severely set students behind in things. And we want to make sure that you're uh, doing as well as you can in the beginning and moving forward to a pathway. And then here I've listed a couple really interesting majors that are kind of out there, some of the most obscure ones, adventure education, kind of doing more outdoors sort of leadership training and things, a lot of activities and exercises in which these individuals are trained in and leading people through. Theme park engineer, who knows, you want to go design a roller coaster for Six Flags or something, or Disney World or whatnot, but there is an actual major for that from what I see. And bakery science. So, there's food culinary schools and things of that nature and such. But, here's Kansas State has a bakery science major in which students may be able to participate with. So, what is this? In high school academics, and what does this all mean in a sense? And I guess what I'm trying to really illustrate here is that by making solid grades, and you couple that with a balanced student, someone who's involved in community service and leadership and activities and all the sorts of things in which you have to do and build in your resume, will lead to college opportunities. So, and the better you are with your grades, and the more balanced you are as a student and the things in which you're involved with, the more opportunities in which you will have made available to you. So that may mean more schools in which you get accepted into. Maybe that means a combination of being accepted and scholarships in which you receive. It all just sort of depends on that. But these things do make a difference, and just kind of wanting to do a little short illustration of that. Now, how is this different from college academics and things? And from and afterwards and such. You're going to college to sort of improve your quality of life and sustain a certain level, to have access to certain things. Ultimately, that's what many people have in mind in a sense. They feel that college equals a job in a way, and which it does in many ways. And by having really good college grades can do that. By making really strong grades, you can have access to internships, scholarships, graduate or professional school, maybe that lucrative job and what you're looking forward to. And lucrative can mean two different things, either in terms of financial compensation, or even maybe that dream job in which you've kind of been looking for and such, and you've gotten the opportunity to to have that sort of employment. But the biggest thing I want to make some sort of analogy to is, students who are going to college are already ones who are doing quite well in their high schools and such. So these individuals have already experienced a great amount of success academically. So when you go to college, the ante has been upped severely. And I like to use the analogy that you're no longer in the minor leagues, but now you're in the major leagues, where everyone is smart, everyone is bright, everyone is talented in some shape or form. And it's up to you on how you're going to necessarily rise above that. So, as you can see with evidence, the average college GPA is around a 3.0. Those who have a 3.5 or higher is probably in the realm around about 15% of the student body, give or take some a little bit. But you can see where the competition is at and what is needed of students to really to excel and do well. And if you want these sort of opportunities like internships, like scholarships, like possibility graduate professional school or something, or maybe that lucrative job, you really have got to have strong GPA in college. So how do you go about doing that? How do you go about achieving those sorts of grades and those opportunities in a way? Well, first of all, it's taking ownership. In high school, you're required to go to class. You're required to go attend school and and up to a certain point, to a certain age at least, but um, in that making grades and this and that, and the teachers must be held accountable for you and your sort of progress and things, and if not, parents and administrators get involved and such. But in college, it's all on you. There's no one else there to hold your hand, tell you to go to class, this or that. It's all on you. So it's you taking the ownership to be responsible for your education. And that's where many students are kind of fail to recognize in the beginning of such, is that it's up to them to make the sort of impact on their education that they need to make. And by doing that, there's several things in which you can do to kind of help you along. One is reading materials, the sort of things in which you're reading. I know there's a lot of Twitter and Facebook and all these interesting stuff, but what are you really reading in a way that's kind of informing you of certain things? What sort of things are you taking in? What sort of knowledge are you gaining, in a sense, outside of the required materials that you're asked to read to help supplement your knowledge? Um, and then, on top of that, news, documentaries, those are always good things to read, whether you get your news through reading online or something of that nature, or you actually do a hard paper once you're reading, and or news outlets on cable networks and such. But those are always good areas and such to kind of become familiar with the surroundings and what's going on and this and that and what's happening that's of relevance to the areas that maybe you're interested with. Documentaries are always good too. There's always, usually those documentaries have sort of bias that's attached to it, but it's also good to kind of understand that, to see that some of the things in which you're doing, um, or you're watching, I'm sorry, to recognize those biases and learn how to question them and understand it, but also to kind of get a glimpse of what the other side may be if you're on the opposite side of that issue. Other thing is mentors and talking with them. Better understanding some of the things in which they've done, what they've gotten out of the experience, what would they do differently. All those sorts of things are useful knowledge to kind of help you along in accelerating your learning curve. And a lot of times have tremendous feedback in which they can give on, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I would have involved in this, or I would take in these sorts of classes in a sense. But quite often they can definitely give you some bit of wisdom to help you along in what you're wanting to do. So with that, something you kind of talked about in cultivating your academics, but now is the academic skills. What are you learning out of this and such? And what skills do you currently possess, and how do you use these skills? What are the areas are they helpful in a way? But the most important thing is we want to better understand the sort of skill sets in which you're developing, and how can you use that for your studies. And then not just for your studies, but outside of your studies, and how do you implementing that maybe in some of the extracurricular activities, maybe in some of the things in which you're doing within personal relationships and stuff. But some of the things which you could be looking at is your ability to organize and synthesize information. Are you quite adept in doing so? If you're giving an assignment to read, how well are you able to organize and combine that information and be able to learn that, and then also just to be able to repeat it? What's your ability to formulate groups to study and such? Are you someone who's adept to do that? Can you corral a group and lead some people to get together, keep them on task, and that you're actually accomplishing things, and that everyone's mutually benefiting from the group study environment? What's your ability to reach out for help? Recognizing areas of weaknesses and areas of where you need some additional help to kind of fill in a knowledge gap. Your ability to write well or give presentations, it's also your ability to focus on a task, complete them in a timely manner. The thing is that all these sorts of things definitely translate to a job later on. At this moment, your job is to go to school. And that's what I say to a lot of students, is that, that is your job. Same thing in college. Your job is to go to school and to do well. And but you also want to have fun with it. It's not all meant to be work in a sense, but you want to enjoy this. You want to enjoy learning things. You want to enjoy what you're having to study for the most part. and how do you want to do that in a sense. And and eventually you want to be employed, or and wherever that is at, you want to be able to enjoy and be motivated for the sort of work in which you're doing, and that you continually have the desire to learn and succeed within that environment. So this is what we're talking about, taking these skills, recognizing what they are, and being able to apply them in other areas and understand how it's grooming you in a way for college and future employment. So to learn a little bit more about yourself is VARK is kind of understand the sort of study techniques that you should be implementing for yourself. VARK is a questionnaire that provides users with a profile of their learning preferences. These preferences are always about the ways that they want to take in information and how they choose to give it out. So we all have a tendency to either be more visual, audio, or reading, or writing, or to be kinesthetic in a way in which we choose to take in information and give it out. So, but this is only one dimension. This is not. There are several other things in which students can have a preference for, and that's the sort of temperature of the room, the light of the room, the sort of how well you work with others and alone in a sense. But it's kind of understand how it can help you. One of the things we'll ask you to do is to take the VARK test, and those instructions be given out through the emails sent to you, and then we'll briefly discuss this in our class and kind of go over this. But hopefully by going through the test, you should be able to see, and once upon completion, some things in which you're currently doing that are working well. And then maybe you see some things that you do that aren't on there that maybe you should look at and evaluate, and then maybe some things that are on the list in the report that's at the end, and maybe introducing some new methods into what you're doing to study. Lastly is strengths, and as we said before, is that we will continually emphasize the use of strengths and how to use it in a way, and better understand how do these work for you and the benefits of it and such. These are things that once again are natural tendencies in which you have. So it's best that you use these things. These are things in which you currently do well. So it's just like with any other skill in which you have, by working on it and practicing it, you're only going to get better with use of it. So the benefits, these are, as I mentioned, these are things in which you already do. You get better, increase the use of your strength, and better understand it, and you know how to employ it into different environments. So to go and to review your strengths profile, you'll need to go and log into strengthsquest.com. Click on, once you've logged in, then you'll click in on students. You'll then click on academics. You'll scroll down to the bottom. I think in the last paragraph you'll see chapter 7 link. Click on that, and then you'll want to review applying your talents in academics. So this has other areas in which it can be of use too, but for today we're just going to concentrate on the academic use of it. And you should see a page similar to this for each individual strength. You have the ability to go on and click on it. So sorry about that. These sites, so the action ideas can help apply developer talents to achieve in various aspects of your academic life. So some of these things, since I have the talent of developer, these are some things in which I'm going to want to look at and be able to possibly use in a way. So for me, form study groups in which you can teach others as well as learn from them. That's something that I do benefit from quite a bit, is being in study groups where I have the ability to bounce ideas off other people, and we can have a dialogue of sorts that really helps me understand the concepts and to talk those things through. So those sorts of things. So I want you to kind of review these sort of things. Which ones are you kind of already using? And then maybe which ones would you maybe be interested in trying to introduce new into your academic study habits in a way? And but these are things that are naturally already inclined for you. It's just trying to see how we can actually put them into use. So that kind of, preparation for next week. Yeah, that kind of concludes today's lesson. So you've already watched this video if you're get to this point. I want you to take the VARK test, which should probably take 5 5-10 minutes of your time or something to kind of go through, take the test, review the individual results at the end, in a sense. If you'd like, go ahead and print them out and bring them along with you to the class. Um, Also, review the StreamQuest academic section that I just went over, in a sense, and come along with that. So, and as always, I said I like to leave things off with a quote. So, education is not to reform students or to amuse them or to make them expert technicians. And instead, it is to unsettle their minds, widen their horizons, inflame their intellects, and teach them to think straight if possible. Robert M. Hutchins, an educational philosopher. So I bolded unsettle their minds, because really that's what education is about, is to truly bring perspective, in a sense, and to make you understand, well, not make you, but to help you understand the sort of things that are going on, and to really change your viewpoint on some things. The things in which you've done in the past, how do you do them differently? Things in which you thought you knew, what do you know about them now? But the biggest thing is to really kind of shake things up with you and see how you can kind of grow as an individual. So, well, thanks again. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. In class, we'll have a number of activities and exercises in which we'll continue to go through. So until then, good luck, and see you soon.